Alright, let's talk about this year's Battlefield, Battlefield 2042. It's an open world RPG, just kidding. You know exactly what this game is going to be. It's just more Battlefield, but now it's slightly further into the future. So they're getting away from the World War II, they're getting away from any kind of Vietnam, they're getting away from any kind of even modern combat. You now have slightly more modern combat. So a couple of new high-tech gadgets and gizmos are going to be at your disposal. So what's popping off in 2042? Basically, the world is running out of resources and governments are going head to head to try and get as many resources as possible. There's a lot of finger pointing, governments are falling apart, the EU has disbanded, and then there's this group of people called non-patrioted. They are the no-pats that don't really have an allegiance to a specific side, a specific country. They're just kind of trying to survive, and in the meantime, they become these freelancers in a way. After years of squabbling back and forth, there are pretty much two big governments left in the world, the US and Russia, and they're going head to head over the remaining resources. Now they're using no-pat task forces to try and get hold of those resources, and they're promising people a piece of what's left, which is where you and me, the players, come in, because that is Battlefield 2042. That story sounds great, doesn't it? You're not really going to have to worry about it because there's no campaign. There's no campaign at all for this game. Instead, they're fully embracing multiplayer, which personally I don't mind. Up until this point, Battlefield campaigns have largely been forgettable. You have a lot of people that love Bad Company and Bad Company 2. You have some that love Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. But if I, which I consider myself to be a Battlefield fan, were to be hard-pressed to tell you the name of a single person in a Battlefield game, I don't think that I could. There are big set pieces that are blown up, there are these big cinematic events that happen throughout the campaigns, but ultimately the big meat of my Battlefield experience, the stuff that I come to Battlefield for, all of that just happens in multiplayer. Which brings me to the discussion that a lot of people are having on Twitter right now. $70 for the next generation version of Battlefield 2042 is what you are going to be paying, while the last generation version remains at $60. And that last generation version also includes the version that's available on PC, which ultimately is bundling in all of the next generation features. They know they can make the money, so they're going to make the money. Corporate is going to corporate. They're going to try and make as much money as possible off of this first big Battlefield on the next generation of consoles. Now, there are plenty of good points here. First and foremost, no campaign and $70. That seems like a bit of a deal breaker for some. For me, that's not really the case, and I want to explain why. Number one, big Battlefield fan. You know, I'm not going to try and deny that fact. I love Battlefield, and this would have been a day one purchase for me, no matter what. But what I do want to say is that I do math in my head based on the amount of time that I spend with a game. And as many have pointed out on Twitter, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So if I spend $70 on a game, and I play it for 10 hours, that comes out to about $7 an hour. That's okay. I suppose I had a good time with it. Now, if I spend 300 hours in Battlefield 2042, that $70 price tag automatically does not seem like that much money. And that's kind of the way that I process how much time I spend with a game. So ultimately, what are my thoughts on Battlefield 2042 so far? Loving what I'm seeing. I love the near future setting, and I can't wait to see more gameplay during Xbox and Bethesda's press conference on Sunday. A big question I have, will this game be on Game Pass? That's another part of the discussion around Battlefield 2042. Will it be on Game Pass? It doesn't really need to be. I think it can survive and thrive without Game Pass, but considering the close marketing relationship that Electronic Arts and Microsoft have, considering that EA Play is a part of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, there's at least going to be some kind of crossover. Automatically, you get a 10-hour trial of Battlefield 2042 just with that subscription, but it could even go beyond that, so I'm excited to see what that potentially looks like. Once again, doesn't need to be on Game Pass, once again not expecting it to be on Game Pass, but that would be part of the discussion, and it would be pretty cool to see it land, because as a multiplayer-only game, it's important that this maintains a very healthy player count, because in a year or two, let's say the game isn't that great, well, it looks like you don't have anyone to play with if you did want to dive in and check it out, so that's something that they do need to address. I'm also excited about the potential grand trio that we have coming into this holiday season, because there's Halo Infinite, there's Battlefield 2042, and there's Call of Duty Vanguard, whatever that official name is going to be. Rumor has it that this year's Call of Duty is going to be set during the World War II Pacific theater, which is something that I think sounds pretty cool. Think the Battle of Iwo Jima in Battlefield 1942, if you're looking for some kind of comparison there. And then you have Halo Infinite, this sci-fi adventure. So between Battlefield, Halo, and Call of Duty, you've got games spanning World War II, future modern combat, and something that's completely and totally fabricated, a total work of fiction from Halo Infinite. I like all of these, and I think that they can coexist because they all provide individual experiences, which is what the difficulty has been in the past for Electronic Arts, especially if you were looking at stuff like Titanfall 2 and Battlefield both coming out and kind of stepping on each other. That becomes a bit of an issue, but I think these games can all coexist pretty well. Again, this is just me rambling into a mic about Battlefield 2042. Very excited to get my hands on it. On October 22nd is when the standard edition comes out. And if you do want to go for those deluxe editions or ultimate editions, whatever they're called, you can check those out in the comment section down below. I'll have them linked. Then you can get it a week earlier. And on top of that, there's an open beta on the way. Lots to look forward to. But this is just the beginning of the summer gaming season. Plenty of big announcements on the way. And everything kicks off with the Summer Game Fest on Thursday. E3 is this weekend. Whoo, baby. I'm looking forward to this year's show. I'm very excited to see what all these companies bring to the table, and it really is Gamer Christmas. You know, let's see what the future has in store.